you know what they say, right? That the truth will set you free. But first, you're gonna be upset. There are gonna be some things said in this movie that will upset some people. Truth said to your face that you don't usually hear. And the brothers telling you that truth, they already got their boardroom hustle on, their street hustle. They're making money, they're bringing their A game. They're just trying to see that you can bring yours. The truth is, about 75% of white kids graduate with their high school class. For Asian kids, the number goes up a little bit to 77%. And for African American kids, the number goes down to 50%. That's right, we have a 50% dropout rate, and it's mostly young brothers. If you're thinking about dropping out of high school, what are you dropping out to do? Well, we want to be the success we see, right? So what do we see? We see the ball players balling, we see the rappers rapping. That's what we want to be.
Tell me, man, a lot of brothers come up and think, oh, I could just jump into the hip-hop game. What do you say to them?
You know, everything is easy once you take the time to learn how to do it. Whatever game you want to get into, G-A-M-E, then, you know, you have to learn it. And then after learning it, you got to try to master it, or you got to try to bring your talents out through the structure of what the game is all about.
A lot of cats that come up to me and say that they thinking about dropping out of high school to get in the rap game. I just plead with them to you know, don't make that mistake. You know, it isn't as easy as you think it is.
They see these glamorous lifestyles. They think that these people somehow were lucky.
There's so many people that have the dream to become a successful entertainer.
The window of people who actually make it is very, very small.
Only like 1 in a million are able to achieve that dream.
I do a lot of workshops with black boys and Latino boys around the country, and these young brothers, all they aspire to be is 3 things: be a rapper, a ball player, or a hustler.
So you want to play pro basketball? Well, ask yourself a critical question. How many players do they need each year? Maybe 1 to 2 a team? Well, that'll be about what? 30 new players getting into the NBA each year? 30 players out of millions and millions of us want to play pro basketball. Only 30.
Being educated has helped me on the court. Some of the best basketball players that I've ever played against are the smartest basketball players, because you can depend on them being able to execute a play.
It's all about your intellectual strength. And if you think it's about physically and what you can do with your body, that could be taken away from you in an instant.
Almost all of my success is attributed to my education.
Plan on dropping out. Just give you a little scenario of what might happen. Nothing.
Think of an office building with a lot of doors. And you got all these students going in these doors, and coming out the other side is doctors, lawyers, school teachers, anything you want.
Now imagine there's only 2 doors, that same building, and one says rapper and one says ball player. And now you got all of us, all the brothers, running for those 2 doors. So imagine everybody else is shooting at a really big target, and we're shooting at a little narrow target. And our target has a timer on it. If we don't get through the doors by the time we're 30, it's game over.
Son, have you thought about your future? Because the U.S. military is looking for a few good men, and that could be you.
For a lot of us, the military is a great way to escape some of the environments that we grew up in the inner cities. And the greatest thing the military offers, I think, is an equal playing field. The downside of joining the military is we are at war right now, and it's a very dangerous war.
Here's where the story gets ugly. You're on the street, you got no education. You didn't make it in the hip-hop game, you didn't make it in the ball game, and you didn't enlist in the military. You still gotta eat, you still gotta make money, you still gotta pay rent. You still want all the fly lifestyle, the women, the jewelry, all of it. So how do you get it legally? And the catch is, you don't.
Hey, yo, come here, man. Got that fire for you.
Hey there, baby.
Hey, I got something for you right here, something special tonight.
I got a proposition for you. You wanna make some money? In these young years, when you're thinking about what I wanna do with my life, get knowledge, get smarter. The earlier you drop out, the quicker you're on your way to failure.
Holla at me for a second. You wanna holla at noob?
Where I grew up, there was the predators and the prey. You were gonna be one or the other.
I dropped out of school when I was in the 9th grade.
I didn't learn how to read and write until I was 28.
I'm like, yo, you do a stick up, takes you 5 minutes, you get it over with, you got cheddar in your pocket, you on your way.
When I was 17, I was arrested for armed robbery. I'm looking at like 10 to 25 years. They talk about trialing me as an adult.
I got caught up in that drug trade.
The money was so great where I didn't want to stop.
Ended up doing 6 years in New York State Prison.
I was fortunate to get the 5 years I got because I could have been facing a life sentence.
Little Alex got a gun he took from his dad that he snuck in the school in his black book bag, his black nail polish, black boots, and black hair.
If you do not have a good education, you will not get a good job. If you do not get a good job, you are fast-tracked into prison. For-profit prisons are beginning to project the number of prisons they will build in 20 years based on 3rd and 4th grade reading scores.
Failing schools equals successful prisons. It is not deep.
There are more black men in lockdown in prison than there are in college. That's a fact. 1 out of 3 black men is going to end up in prison. That is a fact. You understand what I'm saying? They're ready for you. There's a direct line from the schoolhouse right to the jailhouse.
I think a lot of the decisions we make would be better if we valued the relationship with our children. If we understood that if I take this chance, that 2-year-old child of mine is going to be without their father for 4 years. Every little boy, every little girl I know wants their daddy with them.
You're not the only one doing time. You have children, your children are doing time. Their mom only can do so much. And when she's at work and you're away in prison, I mean, the streets is gonna raise them. You gotta pimp the system. You can't let the system pimp you. The system wants you to drop out. The system wants you to be a criminal because they can make money from you in the penitentiary. When we were incarcerated, most of us had work numbers. What I mean by work number, we were actually getting paid to do a job.
The whole prison system here in the United States of America is a multi-billion-dollar business. A lot of these prisons are privatized.
What are private prisons gonna do? They're gonna try to make money. You know, that's what they're all about, how much money they can make so that their stocks could go up.
Somebody's got to make those bulletproof vests. Somebody has got to make those electrical wires. Somebody's got to make that stuff. So why not you?
They allow companies to come in and use the labor, cheap labor, because when you're in prison, people in prison get paid like $15 every 2 weeks. So if you're sitting there thinking you can't have a regular minimum wage job out here in the street, think about that for a minute.
Why were African Americans brought to America? You know the answer. We weren't brought here to run for president. We weren't brought here to be lawyers or doctors, even ball players. We were brought here to be slaves. That's right, that's the truth. We were brought here as cheap labor to work the cotton fields.
Now, flash forward 400 years. Cheap labor is being outsourced to foreign countries, so they don't need us the same way.
If you get arrested, if they put you in prison, you're cheap labor again. You're a modern-day slave.
And if you look at the overall population versus the prison population, those numbers is a high index. And of course, yes, some of these brothers need to be locked up. I understand that, but not everybody.
Think about Malcolm X, man. Malcolm was a hustler. He used to sell drugs and take drugs. He did a 7-year bid in prison, but did he stop there? Nah. What saved his life? Reading.
The change isn't gonna come through speakers. It's not gonna come through a TV screen.
It has to come from you. It has to come out of you. All our work is meaningless if you don't stand up and take action.
Hold it right there. If you didn't drop out, hang in there. If you did drop out, or if you did some time, figure out a way to get back in school and get your high school diploma.
It's simple. Education is one way to counteract all this prison stuff, you know, to educate folks. Because how they end up in prison in the first place? Because we have a lack of education in the communities that we come from.
I'm so sorry, but with a police record...
When I was at Howard University, I didn't have money. I didn't start stealing. Just went out there and I started hitting the pavement to get a job. You know, I used to be a doorman at like a Hotel Marriott. I used to pump gas and wash windows. I used to clean toilets in this Mexican restaurant. I wasn't having to ask for nothing, and I was making my way out of nowhere.
I think I got something for you. Come on.
Your destiny is up to you.
You can't be a boss unless you start from the bottom.
Today I wake up inspired to take over the world, but I want to take over that store. I walk to the store and I start to sweep the front of the store. I sweep the front of the store every day, and the owner keeps looking out and thinking his store is the cleanest store. He eventually comes out and pays you, and one day he brings you inside. Now you're in the store. You're doing the work. He gives you a little more than he gave you from cleaning the store, and the next thing you know, you're the manager of the store. Kevin Lyles, he was a store sweeper, you understand? He was a free intern who worked so hard for the company. So Kevin Lyles became the chairman.
That's my story from intern to president. So I took the presidency of Def Jam in '98, ran the company until 2004, and then I left to be part of the Warner Music Group.
It's not a lot, but it's a job.
You cannot get rich if you don't get an education. And somehow, one group in America has been sold the biggest lie of all time, that you can get rich without an education.
Difference today between somebody who doesn't graduate from high school and somebody that actually goes to college, the earnings over a lifetime are well over $1 million.
If you're a young brother thinking about dropping out of high school, what's next? Your options are limited because if you didn't complete the course, how you gonna come work for me? How I know you gonna complete the job?
You will not be hopeless if you continue on with your education. And we're not just talking about schooling, because school teaches you skills. Education teaches you what to do with those skills.
You can come back later for the final one. Computers are over there if you'd like to use them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Check out brothers like you, who made their way out of no way, like the 3 doctors.
The situation I went through with the whole robbery thing and changed my life, and it made me realize how close I came to pretty much spending the rest of my life in prison. Because had I not been 17 and a half when it happened, had I been 18, I would have been an adult. And the whole story would be written differently. But when I got out and I came home, I told my boys from my hood that I was going to college. They was like, get out of here, man. Nobody from Dayton Street go to college.
Me, yours truly. Public elementary school, wasn't a great school. Public middle school, wasn't that good either. Public high school, wasn't that good. Nobody from my high school had ever gone to an Ivy League school. Ivy League, that's the oldest, best, most prestigious universities in this country. Way back in the day, they didn't even let black folks in. And most folks said, you can't go from this school to Ivy League. But someone told me I could, and you know what? I did.
You gotta read. You gotta find books. You gotta find authors that speak to you.
A lot of things you don't understand is somewhere in a book waiting for you to discover it.
Read Malcolm X autobiography.
The autobiography of Malcolm X as told to Alex Haley.
Invisible Man. 1984.
James Baldwin.
Fire Next Time.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
For overall business, there's the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. For movies, there's Variety. For music, there's Billboard.
I was one of those cats that like made my A's and B's and hid my report card because, you know, it wasn't cool to be doing well in school.
Young, bright African-American kids who speak correct English are ridiculed for acting white
My parents, you know, were tough on me on, like, no, enunciate, get this right. No, it's said this way, not that way.
They may try to say, you selling out, or you know what you doing is a corny thing.
It's not corny to be educated. Come on, you know what I mean? When did it become okay for us to say it's corny to have an education?
Usually the guys that are putting the most pressure on you are the dudes that don't have the confidence. They're kind of insecure about things.
If they don't pay your bills and if they can't whip your ass, you really shouldn't care what they say.
I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to write down where you want to be in your life. The next 2 years, the next 4 years, the next 6 years. Someone will come up to you and they'll say, hey, let's go hang out. All you have to do is look at that piece of paper. Is what he's asking me to do matching where I want to go? If it doesn't, say no.
With success comes a lot of sacrifice. That means less hanging out on the corner, less smoking blunts, less drinking them 40s, less partying.
Work ethic. Be on time. If I'm supposed to shoot a movie at 6 o'clock, I get there at 5 o'clock.
Don't look for the shortcuts, you know, put in the time, you know, and do the work. And have pride in what you do.
You being able to switch your game up when you go for an interview, put on a suit.
But also, don't be afraid to learn from somebody that is of a different color than you.
Learn Spanish, learn French, learn all that you can. The more you learn, the more powerful you are.
I don't consider myself the funniest guy around or whatever, but I get so much more opportunities than certain people just because people know I'll show up.
Now that you're starting to get your real education, the same things you saw before are gonna have a whole different meaning.
You grow by reading, by traveling, by understanding there's stuff bigger than the platinum pendant around your neck or the wheel spinning on your ride.
Or the size of that platinum Rolex you got. Who we giving the money to? How many people you know own a diamond mine? Are you Mr. Rolex? Do you own a watch company? Come on, where's that money going? Right out the window.
A lot of y'all can't really sing. I call it hobby rapping. But how about this? You can own the record company you rap for.
We got to jump from just playing basketball to owning the team.
When Magic hung up the ball, Magic went into business. Starbucks, movie theaters, real estate development.
One game doesn't get it done.
The problem in America is there's a line 10 blocks long for every job that's out there. We are competing against people who are prepared to work very hard for very little money.
And what worries me, if you choose to be lazy today, then you're choosing to have a miserable life tomorrow.
With the proliferation of all these reality shows, which I think has done a tremendous, tremendous harm to the work ethic of young America. Because these young people see these shows and they think that hand the guys that come down and anoint you as the next one, and you're gonna be overnight sensation. Big lie.
Stop standing on street corners and dying on street corners. Street corners that don't know your name.
We have to stop selling crack out the crack house, and we gotta start buying the crack house, rehabbing the crack house, and reselling the crack house for a profit, because that's where the money's at.
So the more you try to go forward in your life, the more you're gonna wanna put yourself around other people trying to go forward. Positive people.
If you can seek out and find one person that you may see in the neighborhood who you see does go to work every day.
Talk to them. Tell them you don't even know where to start. Don't even be afraid. Just say, look, I want a better life, and I don't even know where to begin.
Try to join a local organization and find a mentor if you don't have a mentor.
You need a job, you need a high school diploma.
Your work skills or your education is going to determine how much you're going to make in your life. If you don't have a high school diploma or a GED, you're not going to make a lot of money. You're going to be a minimum wage cat.
Because reading
Makes you reasonable.
It's not just about getting educated to the now, it's about shooting for what's next. Green is next, solar, wind, organic. It's the only part of the U.S. economy that's growing.
Doors are open everywhere. It's up to us to walk in them.
The profession I tell everybody that you should be in is the business of whatever you love.
Best way you
I can't honestly say that I've done anything on my own because everything has come from an inspiration or guidance from someone else.
I think the single most important thing on this planet are you young folks. Not oil, not money, not gold, not fame, but you. Because how you go is how the future goes.
Congratulations, brother. Work ethic plus education. You brought your A game.
Thank you.
So how do you get from there to here? Well, it's not easy, and it won't happen overnight, but it can happen. First thing you have to do is conceive and believe that you can get here. Second thing you have to do is make sure that you've got some skills that will support you when you're here. And to do that, you got to go to school. You got to stay in school. And then the third thing you have to do is outwork the other guys.
I would even go further, and I would say, I want the young brothers to not just be successful, I want them to be great.
Makes sense? It's all possible, right?
Yes.
And those who tell us that we can't, we will respond with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can.
I decided after destroying a whole lot of folks' lives that there had to be something different.
I've been married 17 years, I have 3 kids, and I'm a millionaire.
I'm a community organizer.
I spent 21 years in the Navy, mayor of New Jersey's largest city.
My company last year bought and sold over $15 million worth of real estate.
All I do is work to make it so that people who have some sort of criminal justice involvement can actually reintegrate back into society once they get out